The JZ is the ultimate engine, no doubt about it, but it is a very expensive solution. There is, however, a more affordable and accessible alternative, the 7M-GTE. It definitely isn't as great as the 1JZ GT, but to a certain power level, it may not be worth swapping out. Let's find out why. The M series was developed as a gasoline straight 6 engine. Most variants were naturally aspirated, only the 7M as a derivative of the 5M received a turbo. There were only 2 cars that used it from the factory, the Toyota Supra MA70 and Toyota Soarer MZ20 and MZ21. The 7M GTE is a prehistoric engine utilized in a cast iron block and aluminum head. With a displacement of 3 liters and a single CT26 turbo, it only makes about 235 horsepower at 5600 RPM. But unlike the 1JZ, it had a longer stroke, thanks to which it is known as a torque monster. At the end of the day, it is just an evolution of the M engine, while the JZ was meant as a turbo power plant from its early development. When you look at the M engine's lifespan, you will find out that the turbo was hooked up to the 7M GT at the last moment, as it basically wasn't meant to be turbocharged whatsoever, though it did happen and brought with it a couple of issues from the factory. The engine internals themselves were over-engineered, meaning that they are able to withstand higher pressure and thus more power, with no worries even over 500 horsepower. But in order to be more reliable, you must replace a couple of things. The most important thing to do concerns the head gasket. If you have a low mileage engine or a not blown yet head gasket, take off the head cover and torque down the screws in the following order to 101 Nm, 75 foot-pound, instead of the 76 Nm, 56 foot-pound specified from the factory, which proved to be insufficient. It is also recommended to swap the stock graphite gasket for a metal one and use RWHP head screws. Lubrication is another issue with the 7M GTE. The oil pump reaches insufficient pressure, which can be clearly seen as the camshaft bearings get scratched. An essential modification is shimming the oil pump to reach high oil pressure and swapping the hose between the pump and engine block, which deforms, limiting the flow. When you solve these issues, you may enjoy your 7M GTE without worrying about something major breaking, although no engine is perfect. With an output of around 500 horsepower, the 1JZ swap may not even be as worth it as it seems. But if you do decide to do the swap, it is not a hard task. Both of the blocks were very similar and thus they are easy to install, even with OEM parts. At the end of the day, the 7M GTE may not seem as bad an engine as the internet thinks. It is capable of similar power outputs to the 1JZ GTE, even though the 1JZ has a displacement disadvantage. However, the initial investments to fix these problems will make the 1JZ more attractive, as all of these issues were solved in its development. Special thanks to mikaeljd855 for the topic suggestion and sharing his 7M GTE experience and knowledge. This is his 370 horsepower Supra.